thank you everybody for attending today. So let's just get started with the RTView demonstration. So I guess it's true that every company has to meet the need of a certain set of consumers in order to be successful, and SL is no exception to that. So what need is it that we meet, and what am I hoping to show you today? Well, we also know that all support teams within an IT environment struggle every day to quickly and effectively resolve problems before they start to impact the business. Where we really want to get to is to a point where we're able to resolve these issues before the customer is even aware that there was an issue. So today I'm hoping to be able to show you SL meets that need with RTView, amongst many other needs. And I'll be hoping to show you how RTView can provide an effective, accurate monitoring solution that will enable you to collaborate with the other support teams, with the other support groups, so that overall the stability and the performance of the IT infrastructure improves. And of course that will ultimately affect the business units and hopefully affect the entire business. So in summary then, what I'll attempt to do is to show you how we can determine which technologies within your stack are causing the application stress, are causing problems to the application. We'll show you how you can visualize the interactions between these different components. So we'll be able to show you how you can visualize the interaction between the messaging and the processing layer, between perhaps the processing layer and the database layer. And we'll be showing you some visualizations around that. We'll also show you how you can maximize the value of your existing monitoring tools. So RTView is able to, of course, monitor those components that it's configured to go out and monitor. But we can also reach out to other monitoring solutions, other service desks, bring in tickets, bring in events, and then treat those tickets and events just the same way as the information that we ourselves collect. So we can provide an integrated view across your entire IT infrastructure. And by doing each of these functions effectively, we'll be able to show you how, as I said before, you're able to detect the problem as it's occurring, which hopefully will give you enough time to go in there and either take remedial action by moving demand or by increasing resources so that those issues are resolved before they affect your user and then affect your business. Okay, so that's the objective of today. So let's start by looking at the demo environment that we're going to be using. And what we have here represented on this particular heat map are all of the different technology types that support a range of business services, and within those business services, different applications. So here, for example, within the retail business service, we're showing broken out the BW engines, the EMS queues, the WebLogic servers, the physical hosts, and of course the EMS servers and, Oracle database systems that are all integrated together to support the retail business service. Similarly, we have the same arrangement for customer care, for billing, provisioning, mobile, and EDI. So you'll see that this represents all of the business services that are being provided to a particular telecom business. And this represents a medium to large business with upwards of 3,500 to 4,000 different components. So RTView is constantly monitoring each of the 3,000 to 4,000 components, bringing that information into RTView, connecting out to those other third-party monitoring systems as well, integrating that information, analyzing it, presenting it out via a set of profile-driven screens and alerts and reports. So that's another key differentiator for RTView, is we are very profile-driven. So today the information is going to be presented to you, organized in two basic structures. One is the operational view, and this is intended really for those people who are responsible for supporting a particular type of technology. So operations, either you're involved in supporting all of messaging. That could be MQ, it can be EMS, whatever other kind of messaging you have. Or it could be somebody who's interested in supporting database services. So their primary function is to keep the technology stable. Less focus perhaps on the individual applications that depend on that technology. Now the other type of view that we're going to be presenting today is an application-centric view. So here we've got the same underlying data, but this time it's been organized and presented back out to those people who are responsible for supporting the billing business service, perhaps, or they're responsible for supporting the provisioning, the internal business services versus the external business services. So whatever organization you have in place within your company, we can replicate that through this service tree on the left. Okay, just for today though, we're organized around operations for those people who support a particular technology, and applications for those people who support either a business service or an application within a business service. Okay. Also, as part of the heat map, I'd like to point out that the size of this box, each of these boxes rather, will denote how many individual components exist within this category. So here we've got 69 BW engines. We've got 23 queues. Down here we've got 7 hosts. So the size of the box will show you how many different components are being supported. Now the color of the box is dictated by the metric, the alert, the underlying alert. So here we're looking at alert severity. But I could choose to look at alert impact. So this is impact on the business. This is showing me how severe is that alert within that technology type. Okay. And then I also have alert count if you want to see how many alerts are being created for a particular area, and then also the criticality. So let's filter out the really critical pieces and not worry so much about those who are not quite so critical. So these are all of the different options that you have. Now, within all of the service groups, within environment A, we have a total of about 800 different resources. We're also able to separate out the different environments. So here we have 4 different environments, A, B, C, D. These environments can be further grouped, so perhaps A and B represent the current production environment. So maybe A and B combined represent production. C and D represent the failover for production. And then we can also separate it out into the more traditional environments such as production, test stage, and pre-production. So we're able to organize these metrics in any way that maps to your current usage. Okay, so here we're looking at environment A with about 800 resources. If I switch over to all environments, currently we have 3,100, 3,200 different resources being monitored. So let's, for good order's sake, just go back to environment A. So here we're looking at all of the different resources within telecom, and I see that I've got a problem with BW engines and also BW engines in retail. Now I know that retail perhaps is a higher priority than mobile, so this is the one I'm going to pay attention to first. So again, I may have very many different events happening at the same time. So RTView, first benefit there, is going to show you how you can prioritize your response We just saw that we had 2 red alerts. One was on retail, which is a high critical component there. The other one was on mobile, which is perhaps not so critical. So this is the one we're going to take care of first. Okay, so here I'm looking at the heat map for all of the BW engines. And maybe what I want to look at is the table view. So here I can look at 141 different engines, and it's showing me the health state of each of those engines. Now I can sort this to look at the threshold. So which are the closest to the alert threshold that I've set? So I can sort it in this way. This will allow me to try and see which one is I need to pay attention to first. I'm still within the retail group. But, you know, maybe I want to start thinking about, well, that's just the BW engines. Maybe what I want to look at are all of the service groups. So now I'm going to get a tabular listing of all the engines in all of the support groups. Maybe what I want to do, though, is go back to a particular business service, and I want to look at all of the resources that support that service. So not just BW engines, but now I want to start looking at all of those different. So I'm looking at WebLogic, I'm looking at EMS queues, I'm looking at the hosts. I'm able to see in a single table now all of the different resources that support billing within this single environment. And if I wanted to, I'd be able to extend that out and look at all of the resources supporting billing across all of the environments, or some subset of that environment. The main point I'm trying to show you here is that once RTView has collected the information across these many thousands of components, it's able to automatically filter that down and present it back out to the user in a way that makes sense to that user. If you're not interested in all the services, if you're only interested in the BW engines or the Oracle DBA database systems, you can very quickly apply that filter. You're not going to be overwhelmed with a lot of alerts related perhaps to messaging that really aren't part of your domain. So that's the main point. We've taken these many thousands of resources, we've been analyzing it, we've been bringing it back together, reporting back out to you in a very usable way. This is one of the ways that we're going to show you, or we hope to have shown you, how you can quickly identify a failing component when it's still in the orange or a yellow state, so you can get in there and take action before it actually reaches a red state. And then towards the end of the demonstration, I'll show you how this is related to our alert system. Okay. So from here, I could switch over and start looking at the EMS servers. From this EMS server, I can then drill in. I'm now looking at a single server that's still supporting billing, and I can get at a glance the information that EMS administrators have told us is that this is the kind of information we need to see when we first start looking at a server. So we want to see the pending messages. We want to see the demand being placed on that server. How many messages coming in, how many messages going out. So up here we're showing you the current state, and the heat map is showing you the current state. But now what we're doing is we're bringing in the idea of time. So we're able to look back over the last 20 minutes. I can shorten that time frame if I want down to 2 minutes or even less. But I can also extend it out to 24 hours or 7 days. So I can start to look for patterns. Maybe I just came on shift and I want to see what was going on with this server in the previous 8 hours or the previous 24 hours. So I can get some kind of history automatically. Okay? I can then tie this into alerts and see what alerts were generated within the last 24 hours. Now maybe I want to take I want to take a more sort of strategic view. So I want to see, okay, we introduced an application upgrade a week ago, And the main reason that that application upgrade was introduced was to solve some of the bottleneck issues around messaging. So I could use this calendar pick list now to go back and look at a 2-week window before and after the upgrade was introduced. And then I'd be able to see, okay, was this upgrade effective? Did it get us where we wanted to go? So these are some of the uses that you can take to solve current immediate problems, but also start taking a more strategic look. And by taking that strategic look, you can then help the development teams improve the overall stability of not just the EMS environment, but the whole business service environment. Okay, and this level of drill down is available in a kind of a, at the same kind of level across all of these different services. So whether we were looking at WebLogic applications, or we were mostly concerned with a number of threads, etc., those views would be available just as these are for EMS. So EMS is also interested, administrators told us, in the number of connections. How connected is this EMS server? We're expecting to have X number of connections continuously. So if the number of connections drop down to only 5% of that number, then that indicates a problem. So we want to get alerted not just when a server is getting stressed, but we also want to get alerted when there's abnormal behavior. In other words, they're not the kind of demand that we expect. Something is wrong. We can also see the rate of information coming in and out. So we not just have the number of messages, but we also have the rate per second messages coming in and out. Another problem for EMS administrators at a server level is the amount of memory being taken up by the async and synchronous storage. So we give trend charts on that, and we also show the current state. So within the persistence zone here, we have the async storage size, the synchronous storage size, and of course we're able to alert on those as well. So what you'll find sometimes is undetected. The async storage size starts getting eaten up, and then all of a sudden the performance of the server overall starts to fade, and it's very, very difficult to track that down. You're going to be looking at queues, you're going to be looking at the processes feeding into and consuming from EMS, when in fact, hidden away in the background, there was a problem with the async storage not getting purged appropriately. Okay, so this is the operational view. I've shown you how you're able to quickly detect a problem within an application or within a set of applications. I'll just switch this over to all service groups. So within a set of, and of course, this is looking at all of the business services, but maybe your profile says, okay, I'm only interested in those that are customer facing. So your view of this screen might only include retail and billing. The rest of it wouldn't be there. On the other hand, you might be responsible for sort of internal business services. So that might be the provisioning, mobile, warehousing, rules, and EDI. So once again, I want to stress the strength of RTView here is to provide the right information to the right group of people in a way that makes sense to them and allows them or provides them with a way to be very, very effective at detecting a problem and then correcting that problem. Okay, so that's the operational view. So now I'm going to switch over very quickly to the application view. So here we have the information is now organized so that the person who's using these screens are responsible for the smooth running of either a business service or an individual application within that service, or maybe a group of services. Okay, so his or her main focus now is going to be on keeping that service running. He's not that interested in whether the problem is a BW problem or a WebLogic problem or a database problem or a messaging problem. He's interested in how that problem affects his application or business service. So again, it's the same information, but this time it's organized around applications. So here we have a service called billing. We've got multiple services. We also have provisioning and mobile, and we have retail. Retail, as we know, is a high priority, so any alert associated with retail is going to get weighted higher than perhaps an alert related to mobile or internet. So in this case, we have a problem with retail. Now, within retail, we have upwards of 40 plus applications. So these are applications that together support retail. Now, we haven't used a lot of imagination. We've just called them retail 1 through what looks like 40, 47 or 48. Whereas in practice, of course, these would be different applications that support different retail functions. So one of these might be to say, okay, is this an existing customer? And so this might be around how to maintain that customer record. On the other hand, this might be the interaction between that customer engagement and the accounting receivable. So these would, in practice, be different applications. But here we see that we've got a problem with this Retail 29 application. So I can drill into this. And now instead of having a view that is either just BW or just EMS, these are now all of the different resources that support this single application within this business service, within this environment. Okay, so pretty specific. This would be an application support group or maybe an application development team. Maybe the development team's responsible for retail, 29 and through 35. However that's organized, we can present the appropriate screen. But here we can see the alerts at a BW engine, at a host level, and an Oracle database level. So we're able to sort those appropriately, but we're able to get what we call a correlated view. So here we're looking across the infrastructure, pulling out all of those metrics out of the 35,000 metrics. We're bringing those metrics to bear that relate to the problems with Retail 29. And then from here, I can do any of the drill downs that we've already shown you. So I can go into a host just for a bit of variety. And here, because when we're looking at hosts, what are we interested in? We're looking at the compute layer. So here we've got the storage, the network behavior, and the CPU. And of course, as you would expect, we're looking at the current state, also the asset information. But we also have the ability to bring in the time element. So here we're looking across time, and we're able to see over a 24-hour period. I also wanted to show you the third set of views that we have. So we've looked across and we've looked down the stack. Now what we're doing is we're bringing in the idea of flow. So this is showing us how the application is represented across the infrastructure stack, but by technology type. So again, we've got WebLogic applications, we've got JMS, the BW engines into EMS queues, and I've got the same capability to drill down when we detect a problem, go to that summary screen. From this summary screen, I can go to the clients, the servers, any of the views that you've already seen before. Same thing applies with WebLogic. Same thing applies with the physical hosts or the virtual hosts. And then this is one part of the flow. I can go from there to the next part of the flow. And this is really designed for somebody who perhaps is a level 1 support. Okay. Now they're dealing with phone problems, printer problems, application performance problems. Can't really expect them to understand all of the idiosyncrasies of the different technologies. So here we just give an indication. Hey, there's a problem with this EMS queue or this active space, meta space. And then what that individual can do is simply click on this screen, take a screen capture of this. It's going to give him exactly the name of the server and the queue and a timestamp. Combined with this URL, it gets passed up the line to the second level or third level support groups who will be able to use this URL to immediately go to this screen and start examining what's going on. Maybe the first thing he wants to do is say, okay, how has this been performing over the last 24 hours? Is this an isolated incident or is it part of a pattern? Okay, so to summarize then, if we go back to the service view, what we've shown you today is how we can create a view from across 35,000 to 4,000 different components so that that information can be quickly organized and presented out to give you the health state of all of the components that support individual services. And we're able to present that out in views that are appropriate to somebody supporting a particular technology, or we're able to present it back out to those people who are interested in the well-being of the business services directly. It's their job to make sure that they're part of the business services functioning at all times. Or we can provide service to the service desk or level 1 support groups, or we're able to allow better collaboration across support teams by providing a view that represents the flow of your application. So wherever the problem resides within the environment, RTView will help you identify where that problem is, how much impact it's going to have on the business, how you should prioritize your response, and above all, allows you to then collaborate with the other support teams that together support that business service or application. Okay, so Gia, I'll hand it back to you now, just in case there are some questions. Okay. Excellent question. Right, so obviously we saw an environment there with like 3,500 to 4,000 components. That's a medium size. We work with banks where it's upwards of about 15 to 16,000. And of course, manually, you'd never be able to manage that. So RTView, part of the configuration is to enable this rules engine that will automatically keep that system current. We're looking at the information that's moving across your infrastructure using your naming conventions, and we automatically notice that new services have been added or removed, or new EMS servers have been added to a particular application or not. So that's automated, and very little maintenance involved in that at all. Absolutely. We never got much time today to look at the alerting, but RTView does have the ability to take all of the alerts that are generated within RTView. Perhaps that async DB size alert that I mentioned earlier on, or maybe a processor is hung. Elapsed time has been increasing, execute time hasn't, so that generates an alert. You decide whether you want that alert to go out to Remedy, or whether you want it to be handled within the BW environment. So yes, we can definitely do that. And as I mentioned earlier, we can also absorb alerts from Remedy that relate to your part of the domain. Yes, for sure. We're collecting all that information, as you saw, sort of real-time or close to real-time. We provide some history so that you're able to go back, as I showed you, over the last 7 days. We'll use the calendar pick list. That information is stored in a repository, a historical repository, and it's designed, that repository is designed to allow access from external reporting tools such as Actuate. And also, just to let everybody know, if today wasn't enough, we do have another webinar coming up on the 17th, which is focused specifically around the need to consolidate the monitoring for middleware applications. So we hope that many of you on today's webinar will be able to attend that webinar on the 17th. Thanks, everyone. Bye.